Okay. All right, good afternoon. The time is 4:06, and we have a quorum, so we can go ahead and get started. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No, there are no changes.
Okay, great. Then we can start with the statement from the Historic Preservation Office.
This is a reminder that, I'm sorry, can somebody hit that? Oh, thanks, Mo. Okay, this is a reminder that this is an official meeting of the City of El Paso's Historic Landmark Commission. We ask and expect that all attendees are courteous and respectful to each other to ensure a professional meeting. And an excessive display of uncivil behavior or being disruptive may require for an individual to be removed from the meeting. And from Chapter 2020, it states, when City Council has adopted architectural and design guidelines for a particular district, those guidelines shall control provided they are not in conflict with other requirements of the City Code, except that the HLC may approve exceptions to the guidelines in an effort to maintain the historic integrity of an age overlay property, in which case the exception shall control in that particular case. What that means is that if you want to come to the HLC and ask for, say, a metal roof, when you have a shingle or a barrel tile, and your neighbor has a metal roof across the street, this does not mean that you get it, and it does not mean that the HLC has changed the guidelines or the ordinance. It means the HLC has made an exception in that case and only in that case. So on to item number 1, which is a certificate of appropriateness for the new construction of a 2-story multi-unit apartment building at 506 Randolph Avenue in the Sunset Heights Historic District. It's zoned A4SCH, which is Apartments Special Conditions Historic. There's nothing on the lot at the moment, so there's no construction to report. And you may recall this is at the corner of Randolph and Prospect. This is the parcel. It has never been built on, as far as we know. And 2 weeks ago, you saw a proposal for new construction for a 2-story apartment building at the site. This is what the original proposal looked like. So you can see it's very contemporary. It didn't really seem to fit in. It could have been more compatible. So we asked the designer and the contractor and the owner to come back with a revised look. And after speaking to the neighborhood association, this is what they're proposing. So it's still a 2-story apartment building. As you can see, it has changed dramatically. The materials are certainly very different. There's brick and there's stucco and there's masonry. There is a terrace now at the 2nd floor looking out over Randolph and Prospect. It's a very, very different configuration from what we saw before. This is what's being proposed. Like we said, this is what was presented at the last meeting, so it's significantly different. And the owner did go out and speak to the neighborhood association, made a lot of changes, as you can see. It's radically different. And you can see this is the surrounding neighborhood, and now this design works a lot better with what is there. It fits in much, much better. So we asked the neighborhood association to chime in and ask what they thought about this. So this is what they sent us. Honorable HLC members, I write on behalf of the Sunset Heights Neighborhood Improvement Association to thank you for your actions 2 weeks ago regarding 506 Randolph, to thank the applicant for their quick revision, and to express Shania's support for the design. The overall look of the building now fits with the neighborhood. The new design gives the building more depth with the addition of the patios on the upper and lower floors, and the elements reflect that of other nearby houses with the use of red brick and the framing around and within the windows. The building no longer sits at the edge of the property and now exposes the campus andesite rock, a distinctive feature of Sunset Heights. I'm sorry, that's andesite. With that, a couple of items to follow as we go through the process. We weren't provided with heights and setback numbers of the materials list. We have been assured that the setbacks will match that of the rest of the street. We didn't discuss materials with the applicant, but noticed after reviewing the renderings further that the lower portion of the project, below the brick, appears to be stone. That would be great. However, there is an example somewhere elsewhere in the neighborhood of where low-quality materials were used to look like stone. Inevitably, one of these tiles has come off and it looks worse than plain concrete. Whatever surface is there must complement the quality of the design, particularly the brick and natural rock next to that surface. We understand there may be financial constraints and are committed to working with the applicant and city staff for a creative solution. Given the engagement so far, we have trust that this is possible. The applicant said they'd be open to discussion of the name Uptown Villas. I'm sorry, Uptown Villas is not an appropriate name for a historic district. Not appropriate name for the historic districts. I'm sorry, I can't read this. As it is Sunset Heights, sorry. Place name is part of the context. Perhaps Sunset Villas or another name more fitting the history of the neighborhood and the quality of the project would be better. With that, Shania requests that appropriate city staff keep the association abreast as to the design and site plan, continue through the process of other approvals as necessary to finally build and to take any necessary steps to ensure that this design is faithfully executed. This process so far has been a credit to staff, the commission, the applicant, who has committed to staying in consultation with the neighborhood as the project progresses. We are appreciative of the work and look forward to continuing our engagement in this exciting project. So we're making a few recommendations. Well, definitely, this is much better. We are still making some modifications or basically requesting them. So the modifications are that the amount of brick be reduced significantly, that the brick posts on the second floor be replaced with a different material, that the concrete massing on the Randolph elevation be reconsidered, and we're talking about, as you can see on the first floor, that window towards the corner, that's the massing we're talking about. And that all required plans and drawings be submitted and brought back to HLC for verification and approval. So yes, we definitely want to thank the property owner, the neighborhood association. They got right onto this project. They certainly delivered in a short amount of time. And we think this is better, but we would still ask for a few changes.
Can you, Proby, thank you, describe what you mean by reconsider the concrete massing? Is it a change in material or?
Perhaps, I'm not sure what purpose that massing serves. Because we didn't get plans until very late. It just seems a little awkward. Don't know if there's maybe perhaps some equipment under there or some kind of living space or parking space or what it is, but it just seems a little odd that it's projecting so far out and not as well hidden by the landscaping as the other parts of the concrete.
Okay.
So we're calling that out and saying, maybe that should not be so prominent.
Okay. And then the reduction of the brick, specifically on the second story maybe, or?
Perhaps, or maybe throughout. Maybe what I'm saying is the brick should not be so prominent. It is a material in Sunset Heights, as we can see from the surrounding buildings, but maybe just a little less of it.
Okay.
So maybe it harkens back to brick rather than saying brick is the primary material.
Okay. Other questions for Proby? Except you, Mr. Harder. Did they submit drawings as well, or is it just the render?
We did get some drawings, but it was kind of last minute. Yes, do you have hard copies of the drawings with you?
Hello. Well, it was like a quick...
Identify yourself.
Sorry?
Identify yourself, your name, please.
Enrique Escobedo. I'm the architect for this project. It was like a quick redesign of the project. We eliminated one unit to have that terrace on the second floor. So we worked it so fast, and looks like it's working right now. We have the appropriate setbacks, appropriate landscape buffer in the front, except for the parking space, but we're going also to apply for the infill development. So it will be like another step after this one. The concrete is a concrete retaining wall, the one you mentioned. It can be redone, like that one, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It can be like rework, redesign. It can be like a balcony, floating balcony, or something like that. Right now, it is just like a schematic because we don't know exactly the rock levels. So
So it's a retaining wall?
yeah.
Okay.
On the side of every balcony, it will have like a landscape area, so people can have like their own vegetation plants or planters, something like that. Pretty much that's it. So right now, like we're complaining, we're good with everything. We are still like struggling with accommodating like an accessible ramp because we need like so much. But we are coordinating with the rest right now. So, and I have more questions.
You don't have hard copies of the drawings by chance?
Not right now, but I can bring it.
It's okay. The balcony on the left, kind of on the lower portion, that's in concrete, is that retaining wall specifically there for the balcony at the first level?
Yeah, the one nearby the corner?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it can be like a floating balcony also.
Okay.
We can like eliminate that concrete as well, which
Okay.
is better for us to save some money. So.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand the necessity for a retaining wall, obviously. So maybe, as you suggest, that might be a good idea, just because it's so massive on the street level. Okay.
We have a good conversation with the neighborhood. We had like a very good talk, right, with them, and they will put the name of the development for contest between them.
Okay.
So we like it so much. So
And the comment about the reduction of the brick, how do you feel about that, reducing some of the quantity?
it's great because that way owner can save some money on not having that much brick veneer. So we're okay with it.
Okay, I do think the addition of the terrace on the second story is very nice. Kind of breaks up that facade, that big mass that you had
Right now
previously.
it doesn't look like.
Yeah. Other comments?
How many units?
Initially we had 12, but right now are 11. Maybe it can be reduced to 10, but we don't know yet, depending on more like requirements from the infill development. But 11 is the maximum.
So in the back, you have 9 spaces for parking and 2 accessible?
We have 9 parking spaces, 2 accessible and 7 regular. We will request a parking reduction during the infill development application.
Probably, can you remind me, what was the comment about the stone veneer from the neighborhood association?
Okay, let's take a look at that letter. Let's see. Okay, if you go down to 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th paragraph where it says we didn't discuss materials, but noticed after reviewing the renderings further that the lower portion of the project below the brick appears to be stone. That would be great. However, there is an example elsewhere in the neighborhood where low-quality materials were used to look like stone. Inevitably, one of these tiles has come off and looks worse than plain concrete. Whatever surface is there must complement the quality of the design, particularly the brick and natural rock next to that surface.
Is the stone a veneer or an actual
It's
stone?
veneer.
It's a veneer?
Yeah.
Okay.
But probably we will take a look with the engineer to see if we can do like a actual stone retaining wall instead of veneer.
Okay.
But yeah, that comment was mentioned to us with the neighborhood association, the meeting we had last week. They mentioned some properties that veneer is like coming out of the building, so yeah,
My opinion of the concrete retaining wall is not a negative one. I think a retaining wall is very functional, and you can make the concrete look pretty nice with some effort. So I'm not terribly opposed to the little amount of concrete that you see at the top of the kind of stone outcropping. But I do think, where we talked about that big mass, that definitely can be reduced. I don't know what the other side looks like, but I think I would take the same attitude, all around the perimeter if it's on the street level.
We will have some retaining walls also on the back, but it will be stone, so. it will
Stone,
match
like a rock wall?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm wondering if the second story doesn't want to be brick for some reason. I don't know if that will help in both cost and in, kind of balancing out the facade. I don't know if others have an opinion. Kind of beyond that little decorative coping.
I think if it'll be the stucco, that will be fine, but, like any other material, if it's concrete or, whatever other material, that would probably give me a little bit of pause, but if it's just more stucco, then I don't
Yeah,
think
is the
we should.
beige stucco, that little
Yes.
portion on top? Yeah, okay. I don't know if, to your point, maybe just stucco on the second story, as well as the columns, the kind of brick columns. So maybe that change in material would help. I think those are my suggestions. I don't know if others have other. You agree? Okay. Isabel, what do you think?
No, I think you're bringing up good points, so I think once you reduce all that brick, it'll look a lot nicer.
Yeah.
That retaining wall doesn't bother me too much, just because of the rock that's there, it kind of fills in that gap, but I don't know what it would look like without it, so.
Mhm.
I kind of like the brick. If you look at that building in the back, if you know that location, that is a full brick building to the top. I don't know if it's contributing or not. I don't have a problem with the brick. I think it looks good. It's kind of a prominent area, and even if I believe the house on adjacent to, or across the street from Randolph is brick to the top, I believe, if I remember
It is.
accurately.
Do
So
you like the brick on the columns?
I want to say I think so.
I do
Kind of
too.
like that. I think that's what I was
Not that one.
picturing.
That,
where-
there's, that house,
Side.
but there's one right. Yeah, I guess there does. But the second story, see, a lot of brick to the top.
Yeah, I tend to like the other example, which, that one,
That one.
yeah, where it's kind of not overly bricked. I have a hard time saying, sorry, there's a glare in my view.
Yeah, like,
And in those renderings, you kind of show the andesite, stretching from end to end. That's not necessarily the case there. Are you trying to keep those blocks of andesite in place, or are you trying to design something to look like the andesite once the foundation's in place? What's the thought process there? Yeah, exactly.
That rock, the owner would like to have some rock exposed. It's kind of nice, but it's kind of problematic to dig into it. We're planning to have some exposed rock, those boulders. But it will depends also on the soil reports we will receive next week. But that's the idea. So we need to build some retaining walls in the front, like a garden wall, but also to match like the surroundings. It does have like 4 feet high rock walls perimeter, and then like landscaping on top of that. So we're planning to do like the same thing around the property.
Okay, well, if we still have one more, do we have time for one more round of review? Okay, great. So I think that I really appreciate the redesign, and thank you for taking the time to go to the neighborhood association and redesign very quickly. I'm sure that was very fast.
It was fun.
Yeah, so I think what I would like to do is to motion for you to make just some final small tweaks to this design and just have you bring it back one more time for final verification and approval, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Yes?
If you're okay, we can present like a few more ideas, like different schemes of the brick, stucco.
I think that's up to you. If you want to do several options, I don't think we're asking you to do 3 or 4 options. I personally, I know there are kind of competing opinions. I personally would like to see the second floor in all stucco.
Okay.
As the Preservation Office recommends to just reduce the amount of brick. I think that would be an easy, potentially, way to meet that recommendation. And then I would be very curious to see the balcony kind of as a cantilever,
Okay.
if possible. Other thoughts? Nope. Okay. So I think that will be our motion. And if you're amenable to that, we would just ask you to come back once more.
That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So I motion that the applicant make the following modifications and bring the project back once more to HLC for review. The modifications are that the amount of brick be reduced significantly, that the brick posts on the second floor be replaced with a different material, and that the concrete massing and/or balcony that we see there in the one render be reconsidered.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, item number 2 is a certificate of appropriateness for the new construction of a 2-story multi-unit apartment building at 9815 Socorro Road. It's zoned C1 SHH, which is Commercial Special Conditions Historic. There is nothing on the property, so it's not contributing. And this is what it looks like current. Okay? So just go back 1 second. So I just want to point out, you see the hatched lines in there with the gray border and the reddish border? Okay? Those are the boundaries of the district, pretty much, the hatched lines. Now, on Socorro Road, the boundaries of the district measure 150 feet on either side from the center of Socorro. So as you can see, the entire parcels, in fact, most of the parcels there are not within the district, only a small portion of it is. So you're going to be seeing that small portion. The rest of it you don't have to worry about. So this is what it looks like now. And this is what they're proposing. It's going to be a very large apartment building with some parking on the lot as well. And it's going to be named the Socorro Apartments. So very quickly, here's the materials board, but I really want to show you the renderings first because this is what they're proposing to construct. It has some traditional elements that we see in traditional historic buildings, you know, gables, nice lintels over the windows, little touches, stuff like that. But for the most part, it's a very large, almost kind of monolithic structure, kind of very plain, very few details are involved. And these are not the facades that you would be seeing from Socorro Road either. What you'd be seeing from Socorro Road is, I'm going to show you this elevation. Probably that. Okay. So the materials will be very traditional, as you can see. Multi-light windows, gable roofing. Now, the property next door is this, the Paseo on Historic Mission Trail. And I bring this up because this property went before the HLC in 2013, very similar circumstances in which the entire parcel is not designated. But this is what was approved after about 2 meetings. So a lot of effort and thought was put into it, a lot of reference to the Historic Mission Trail is made, and as you can see, the property has little details. I'd like you to look at the parapet, first of all. It's not a very straight line, or it's got a lot of interesting formation there. If you look at the windows, the little keystone in the carved segmentally arched windows and lintels, and then, of course, the little details that you see here in the color as well. And as I said, this was approved after about 2 HLC meetings, and this was done in 2013, so about 11 years ago. So this is what the surrounding area looks like. As you can see, there's a big empty lot across the street, but there are historic buildings in the vicinity, including this one on the other side. I can focus on that. So, we are recommending approval with modifications based on the following. The Mission Trail Historic District Design Guidelines recommend new structures should respect the integrity of existing buildings. Existing historic structures and streetscapes need to be taken into consideration before designing new infill construction. Setbacks, proportion, rhythm, and building elements should all be addressed. Setbacks help create a unified rhythm along the street, maintain the predominant existing building line. The proportions of new buildings should be consistent with the dominant proportions of existing buildings. Proportions of a group of structures define a pattern, which is called a streetscape. Streetscapes help to establish the architectural character of a neighborhood. All new construction and additions to existing structures should preserve and enhance the streetscape. Sidewalks within the Mission Trail Historic District are limited. This is due in part to the fact that the area is primarily rural. Almost all the sidewalks are made of concrete. However, other alternatives exist and can contribute to the overall enhancement of an area. Exposed stones and pebbles set in concrete are other possibilities to consider as well. Paved areas for driveways should be kept to a minimum. Acceptable driveway materials are concrete, asphalt, and masonry. Landscaping is an inherent part of a building's siting and design, and good landscaping reinforces and highlights the architectural qualities of a structure. When new landscaping is planned, it should be designed to complement the structure and the streetscape. Socorro Road is a farm road in need of landscaping. Planting trees with a combination of shrubs and/or ground coverings can greatly enhance this road. Properly designed landscaping can set the tone for immediate surrounding areas. An appropriate masonry for the Mission Trail Historic District includes terracotta, stucco finishes, and adobe. The Secretary of the Interior Standards for Rehabilitation recommend that new additions, exterior alterations, or related new construction will not destroy the historic materials, features, and spatial relationships that characterize the property. The new work shall be differentiated from the old and will be compatible with the historic materials, features, size, scale, and proportion massing to protect the integrity of the property and its environment. And modifications are that the building's main facade facing Socorro Road be redesigned so that it is compatible with the adjacent properties, has a more residential configuration and detailing, is less generic, and provides more architectural interest.
And we're just talking about this one, that this one facade is facing Socorro Road. Okay. Any questions for Purdy? Okay. Can we hear from the representative?
No, my name is Juan Carlos Oviedo. I'm part of the designing team for the building. Ready for any questions?
Okay. Can you tell me what that little triangular shaded
In the
area
front?
is in the front? Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be, we have that on both sides, the same thing. Particular, that one is the riser system for the sprinkler system that's going to be in the building.
So it's popping out from the
It's
facade?
popping out a little bit, yes,
Okay.
yes.
I think we can see that little corner in one of the renderings, correct? If you go two more, we're gonna see that.
Oh,
One more, please. One more. I think, is that
That
one?
one.
Yeah, that's the one,
This is the first.
yes. To make a little volume on the building.
Okay. That might be a nice opportunity to add some historic detail or something that harkens back to the neighborhood.
Yes, I was gonna think in colors, to go with colors more than anything, and maybe keystones in the gables. I can add that. That was my main thing,
Okay.
play with colors than anything
Yeah.
else.
I think something that also might help break down the facade a little bit are maybe some joints on the
Control
stucco
joints.
that might help kind of
Sure,
create a
yes.
pattern or break down the scale of the massive wall.
Okay, okay. You suggest, yeah, vertical joints, I can add that.
Do you have a site plan we can see to see how much, where it's encroaching to the historic? Okay. So, and pretty much, well, when we're talking about so it can correlate with the neighborhood? Are we talking about the style of the building as well, like to be like a Pueblo style, or color fenestrations? That's more for probably.
Well, in this case, they have done so much work that we weren't calling them out for the style, but we think that it could be enhanced somewhat, so that it's a little more interesting, a little more compatible. And if you look at the building now, it's certainly got some points that make it look like it, it could certainly fit into the district, but it just needs something more. So it's a little too plain, a little too simple, especially for a building facing Socorro, and when you look at the ones that have been improved before.
I don't see it here, Mario, but let me, sure.
So Proby, do you see gabled roofs very often in Socorro District? Is that,
When I think of it, I can't think of any gable roofs immediately off the top of my head. And it's true, you don't usually see that feature as a feature on apartment buildings. Most apartment roofs do not tend to be this traditional, if you will.
okay.
Yeah, it's tough to change the roof now. It would kind of, you'd have to apply it to the whole complex, I would imagine, right? I think maybe if you look at it, I mean, not to be too superficial, but just adding maybe some different materials to that facade and some color, and maybe break it down with some control joints. I'm trying to think what else
Yeah.
that would help.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that. Control joints definitely will help to fill up a little bit on the elevations.
Mhm.
Maybe I can put a band right here, the top of it. That band continue.
At the top of the,
At the top of that roof, because that's parking lot on the bottom.
uh-huh. Perhaps,
that-
and then maybe even maybe a wainscot of a different material on the bottom.
Yeah.
There's just a
Yeah,
lot
that
of
was
little.
another idea, yes, that the owner, he wanted to make it very simple and cost-effective,
Sure.
but of course, we can put a wainscot of maybe a stone veneer by the wainscot. Definitely can do that.
Aren't a lot of the windows like inset on the old buildings because they're adobe, so they look deeper? Is that,
Mhm.
is there a way to do that without adding a bunch of costs?
I can put it, right now, all the exterior walls are 2x6s, and the windows are the most set back that we could. And we're gonna round all the corners, make it round, like, it's gonna, I think will be better with it rounded. We show a picture, I don't know, with the header and the window, with the stucco in one of the pictures, and it shows that one. That one. It sets back a little bit. Basically, that's how we,
Yeah, that kind of simulates it.
that's how it's gonna be.
I think even just the color of stucco, if the owner's open to
Yeah.
not white, that would also help.
Okay. I did submit a couple colors
Okay.
on the submittals, so I don't know, we can do more of those or add another ones. Those are the windows. The windows are gonna be dark. That is the beam color. Stucco. One of them is, it's not there. The hard one, the hard page, really thick.
So what, here comes some colors.
Yeah, we're sending you the stucco color chart.
And on the elevations, it coded which color is where.
Oh, okay, so those renders are not meant,
No, those numbers are the codes for the color.
oh, okay, so they're not actually white and gray. Ah,
No, no,
okay,
no.
that helps. Yeah, so the colors are a lot warmer on here than the render.
Would rounding some of the windows help?
You are rounding the windows, right?
The edges, yes. Sides, mhm.
Are you talking about like this, instead of square?
Yeah. So kind of like one of the buildings across the street has like the
Oh, okay.
So on top, make it more expensive.
Yeah. You mean the arch? Yeah, too expensive.
So are the ones that you have X'd, are those the ones that the owner liked?
Yes,
Or?
yes.
Okay. Sedona's nice too.
I mean, the roof is like a pretty big thing, I have to say. I feel a little badly asking you to go back and redo all the roof, but I wonder if, it's just so far advanced too. I wonder if it doesn't want to be more of a parapet situation where you can articulate that a little better. Just, if this were in Sunset Heights, I would be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Parapets on the entire building?
Well,
Or
I
just
guess-
sections, part?
maybe at least in part on the Socorro Road facade, but then I don't know how that I don't know what the trickle effect is on, or maybe if it's just those two little ends. I don't know if it's worth exploring
Yeah.
that. Okay,
I can try on that, yeah.
okay,
We'll do that.
we appreciate that.
Mhm.
I don't have other comments. Does anyone else? Nope. Okay, so I think then if you don't mind, we were just going to ask you to come back once more with some revisions
Sure.
that we talked about and see if we can't hit a little bit more of what the historic preservation is looking for.
Sounds good.
Okay, I
Okay.
appreciate it
Well,
very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone like to make a motion? I went too far. Okay, you want to do it? All
sure.
right, go for
You
it.
pointed at me. Motion to accept staff's recommendations to adjust the main facade facing Socorro Road to make it more compatible with the adjacent properties. This could include possibly adding parapets and taking the gable roof sections off. I guess that's all I've got.
Mm.
What else, the windows?
No, I think maybe just adding some of the, yeah, I think that covers it, right? More residential configuration and detailing
Yeah,
to provide more architectural interest.
okay.
Just to clarify, you're not giving approval right now. You're asking to come back. You're just giving them direction. Good to go.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion
Try better
passes.
next time.
It's okay, it takes practice. All right, we'll move on to item 3.
Item number 3 is for a certificate of appropriateness for the property located on 4712 Banner Court, zoned R4H in the Austin Terrace Historic District, built in 1946. It is a non-contributing property, and the owner is here for legalization of some work that was done after the fact. So, there's something wrong with this remote. So these are the photos that we have on file. I'll direct you to take a look at the landscaping and the windows. So in this photograph, you can certainly see that there was a green lawn at one point, and the windows on the main facade were casement windows. Same for the windows on the sides. So the owner came in about a week ago, wanting to ask what was required to do some landscaping. And in speaking with her, we realized that the windows had been done without permits. So I mentioned to her that we should take care of that first before going any further with any other plans, as it is our policy to withhold permits if there are violations on properties. So she wanted to take the initiative to try to correct what needs to be corrected, and that's why we're here today. So these are the windows on the side facing the alley. This would be the eastern facade. And the parkway was also paved over at one point. So the thing with this area, we were looking around, and of course we noticed a couple houses have, violations as well. This house in particular has been held back before due to these violations. And it's, as we always say, violations can spread like a virus. So with that said, we're recommending approval with modifications based on the following. Based on the design guidelines for El Paso's historic districts, grass and sod may be removed from front yards, side yards, on a corner property, provided not more than 50% of the area is covered with gravel or other masonry. Grass and sod may be removed from parkways, provided not more than 50% of the area is covered with gravel or other masonry that is made of impervious materials such as brick pavers, gravel, and masonry pavers. The remaining 50% must be covered with trees and living plants that provide ground cover. When new landscaping is planned, it should be designed to complement the structure and the streetscape. Materials which can be documented as being historic to the area should be given first priority. Doors and windows are considered important character-defining features because of significant detailing. When windows are involved in the construction process, it is recommended to repair rather than replace. In many cases, this will entail only the replacement of a broken sash cord, new weather stripping, removing old paint, and repainting. Retain and preserve the pattern, arrangement, and dimensions of door and window openings on principal elevations. Often the placement of doors and windows is an indicator of a particular architectural style and therefore contributes to the building's significance. Doors and windows for new construction and additions should be compatible in proportion, location, shape, pattern, size, and details to existing units. Retain and preserve original doors and windows, including such elements such as sash, glass, sills, lintels, casings, muntins, trim, frames, threshold, hardware, and shutters. If repair of an original window or door element is necessary, repair only the deteriorated element to match the original in size, composition, material, dimension, and detail by patching, splicing, consolidating, or otherwise reinforcing the deteriorated section. The removal of historic materials should be avoided. When repair is not feasible, door and window products will be reviewed on an individual basis using the following criteria. A, architectural and historical compatibility. B, comparison to original profile. C, level of significance of original doors and windows to the architectural style of the building. Three-dimensional exterior applied muntins that simulate or match the original muntins may be approved. Single-dimension interior applied muntins are not appropriate. And from the Secretary of Interior Standards for Rehabilitation, the historic character of a property will be retained and preserved. The removal of distinctive materials or alteration of features, spaces, and spatial relationships that characterize a property will be avoided. Distinctive features, finishes, and construction techniques or examples of craftsmanship that characterize a historic property shall be preserved. Deteriorated historic features shall be repaired rather than replaced. Where the severity of deterioration requires replacement of a distinctive feature, the new feature shall match the old in design, color, texture, and other visual qualities, and where possible, materials. Replacement of missing features shall be substantiated by documentary, physical, or pictorial evidence. And the modifications are that the windows on the building's north, west, and east facades be replaced, with windows matching the historic windows in terms of placement, color, operation, configuration, details, dimensions, and finish. And that the landscaping be brought into compliance with the approval issued in 2021 and be compliant with the guidelines. That the work be completed in 90 days and that no permits or approvals be issued for any work on the property until the new windows and landscaping are completed.
Thank you, Mo. The approval issued in 2021 was just for landscape?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And can you run us past the facades one more time?
Sure. So this is the primary facade. As you can see, they're mostly slider windows, which we never approve, and one over one on the west side. So turning the corner to the eastern facade, you can see a few 1/1s, whereas before there were casements.
Is that an alley or is that a
It's an
main
alley.
street? Okay.
Yes.
And the other facade is a street?
And the other facade, it's a little less visible. So, I mean, on this one, we can probably give a pass on that, but we do, rather than replacing all of the windows, we're willing to say just the ones that are visible from the public right-of-way.
Okay. Any questions for Mo?
Can you tell us what was approved in 2021? Like what design?
Do you have? It was a landscape plan?
I believe the landscape plan was approved along with painting. So the landscape plan was approved because it did meet the requirements, which is 50% of it would be landscaping, the other 50% would be some kind of hardscape, or living ground cover, I should say. And that's not exactly what happened. When we went to look at this property on Google Maps, they give you the option of looking at it several years back. There are several dates. And in one of those pictures, you can see landscapers ripping up the front yard.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is completely not what we approved or not what we expected when we gave the approval. We always give the approval in good faith, and this is what came out.
And what she's asking for landscaping is different from what was approved in 2021?
Yes, because what was approved in 2021 was at least 50% ground cover.
Okay. But she came in for a permit for landscaping?
Yes, for approval for landscape, I believe it was painting at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah. And the windows, just to let you know, the city requires every window installation to have a permit, whether it's a historic district or not. So the fact that this was bypassed means that the contractor never pulled a permit for this, whereas the property owner knew that she was in a historic district and pulled permits before.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, just back on the landscape, is she coming back this time around for a new landscape plan?
No, I think what she's trying to do is get you to approve what's there now.
Oh, got it.
Yeah,
This is after
she
the
did
fact.
initially come in with questions on what to do for landscaping. And that's when we discovered that the windows had been done.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's not a new landscape plan
No.
that's being proposed?
No, no, we have not received anything.
Understood. Anyone else?
Is same owner from 2021 and today? Yes, okay.
It is, okay.
Okay. If no one has anything else, we can hear from the applicant.
I am here in case you need me. Yes, just call us Mrs. Gibson. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and I'll ask you a few questions. If you need anything from us, you let us know. If you need anything from us, you let us know. Okay? It's fine. Right now. Right now. It's fine. Okay. Hi, my name's Sheila Gadsky, and this is my home. I don't think they knew I was here. I don't think so. Yes, the reason that I had gone to them to ask for help is because when we bought the house, we weren't aware that we should go get permission from anybody. So it's our mistake. And so the windows were put in, and the landscaping that we did with the rock was before we found out. So now that I know, I want to correct it, and that's why I'm here. That was very fast, and it kind of went over my head a lot. So on the windows, I know those are wrong. And I was wondering, I guess this is what I think Mo was saying, if I understand it correctly, that maybe we can do just the casement and the grids on the front. And then as far as the landscaping, I do understand now that it has to be 50% greenery and 50% other landscaping. I do have one question. The 50% greenery, on the 50% part that is not the greenery, is turf allowed instead of rock? That's my question. So that's what happened, and that's what I'm here to do. Is that it?
You can stay up there.
Okay.
To answer your question about the turf, the commission has to approve the turf as an option. So I think what currently is being recommended is that the landscape be reverted to whatever approval was given in 2021. Is that correct? That's what's on the
I don't remember
table.
what that was.
Okay, yeah, maybe someone did this in your place instead, but in 2021, we received an application for some painting and new landscaping. And the landscaping that was proposed at that time met all the guidelines and the rules. But what happened was what was installed didn't meet what we approved or the guidelines. So so basically in 2021, when you got the approval for the landscaping, what we approved is not what we see here. It's not what was done.
We didn't do it.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So
My husband, if I may say, my husband became ill, and for a few years, and he passed away. So our focus was not on this. So that's what happened there.
Okay. So,
But now I can do it.
okay, so I think the issue with the landscaping is whether or not you have the information from 2021, and if you would like to revert to that plan. If you would like to pursue a new plan, then I think you would have to bring the plan for approval here
To the
to the commission,
Oh, okay.
so that we can review it and
You
then,
probably told me that, and I didn't understand, so, okay. Okay, it will be a new plan.
it will
if
be a
that's
new
okay.
plan. Okay. And
Yeah.
then, so that's one part, and then the other part is to replace the windows with new windows that match the historic operation and style.
Right.
Is that part clear? I just want to be absolutely sure, because I
Yes.
think it might entail you replacing certain windows.
Yes.
Okay,
I understand
And you're
that.
open to that?
I am open to that.
Okay,
yes.
very
I am.
good. Okay.
I'm open to anything that's going to resolve what I did wrong.
Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate your willingness to correct
Thank you.
the issue. I think then for us, if we still have time on this application, we'd be open to you bringing your new plan to us if you have the time to do that in the next 2 weeks.
I do.
Okay, so then we can postpone your application until the next meeting and give you time to bring back the new plan so that we can review
Okay.
it. Does that work for you?
Okay, I can do that.
Okay,
Okay,
then that's what we'll do.
thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, so I guess I motion to postpone this case for 2 weeks and give the applicant to bring their new landscape plan to the commission.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, item 4, any addresses for HLC staff to review? Sounds like no. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. The HLC staff report, update on administrative review cases.
I motion to approve administrative review cases.
Okay, I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Item 2, discussion and action on regular meeting minutes for April 15th. I motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any
Abstain.
I
abstain?
abstain as
Yeah,
well.
I was out.
Okay, 2 abstentions. And item 3, election of a vice chair. I nominate Angela Jimenez for vice chair.
Second.
I accept. Is that all I, if that's all
Very
I need to
easy.
do?
I think so, right? Is that all we need to do?
Oh, did somebody just tell Angela that you're the new vice chair? Okay, yeah, sorry about that, Angela. I was going to say, did anyone give Angela a heads up? Because I know I didn't.
We did just at the beginning of the meeting.
Surprise, Angela. So last week, when we were talking about electing a new vice chair, Alina said, you know, Angela would be great, and everybody agreed.
That's true. So then we just vote?
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Congratulations, Angela.
Yay.
And I believe that is all, unless there's other business. Nope. Okay, very good. Then I motion to adjourn at 5:04.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.